Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Andrew Bartolotta. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making an impact here in Middle Tennessee and beyond. And today we're talking about transforming lives through the power of dance with Lauren Morris, founder and executive director of Move Inclusive Dance, a nonprofit dance studio for people of all abilities. Lauren, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Talk about how Move has grown from a small summer camp to a year-round program, both in person and virtually.
Move technically started in 2018, but this is kind of a lifelong idea that I've had for as long as I can remember. I grew up in the dance studio world. I started taking classes when I was just 3 years old. And for as long as I can remember, dance was just my favorite place to be. It was my favorite thing to do. And it was my home away from home, my studio. It was a very, very important part of my life. And at a pretty early age, I asked my mom for some reason why there wasn't a dance studio for people with disabilities. And what's interesting is what I found anyway, is that a lot of people that are in this space where they've started, some kind of nonprofit that is specific for people in that community, they usually have some type of personal connection, right? A sibling or a family member or a friend that has a disability. And that's kind of what was the driving force behind them doing what they do. And for me, that actually isn't the case, which is kind of funny. But I think it was just like a God planted idea in my brain for whatever reason. And so I asked my mom and she said, I don't know, maybe you'll start it someday. And I had no intentions whatsoever of actually pursuing that. But I remember it being a very significant moment, that just small conversation. So I pushed it to the side, and then fast forward, I end up going to college and majoring in dance. And while I was there, the idea kind of resurfaced while I was doing a research project. And yet again, as I'm presenting this project, my professors were like, this is such a great idea. You should definitely do that. And I pushed it aside again and was like, oh, not for me. I think it's a great idea. Someone else should do it, but I don't really think that that's going to be my path. And then a few years later, I'm in another season of life. I was living in New York and interning at this other nonprofit that served girls in a low-income community where they offered free dance classes to just provide them a better life. And while I was there, I had this kind of light bulb moment where I realized it was the same concept, just for a different group of people. And this keeps coming up. So clearly there's something there. Maybe I need to dig in a little bit deeper and really explore this. And so I took advantage of that opportunity to just work really closely with that executive director. She was also the founder of the nonprofit. It's called Groove With Me. They're fantastic. But I learned a lot from her. How do you write grants? How do you run a nonprofit? And just all of the ins and outs. And so when the time came several years later, to actually pursue it, I feel like I had a little bit of context of how to get started, but at the same time, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So I said, let's start small. Let's not do anything super drastic or crazy. And so that meant to me renting out a space for a week, holding a summer camp, and just seeing what happens. And I have a friend that I actually grew up dancing with who had gone on and received her master's in special education. So she had this, really important piece that I was missing, this extensive knowledge and training and experience working with people with disabilities and the dance background as well. So she came up, she taught the camp. And at the end of the week, we looked at each other and we were like, I think this has to happen. And so I told her that day, I was like, mark my words. I know it's crazy. I don't have any details for you yet, but a year from now, I will have a studio where we can do this all the time. And so I started fundraising from that moment on. And so that was the summer of 2018. And it was a camp for teens and adults with Down syndrome. I think we had around 10 to 12 people that showed up, but just rave reviews from all the parents. And then exactly a year later, we had a couple more camps, and then we opened our studio in August 2019. So we have been at it ever since. It is a year-round program. We have weekly classes for people of all abilities. So not just Down syndrome, not just autism, and it's not even just disability specific. We have some students that come that are typically developing children or even adults that are just intrigued by this very unique concept that they can be in a classroom where they learn traditional dance techniques in a very cool environment where they're also socially developing and meeting people that they may not otherwise cross paths with.
That is so cool. And I love that there's this God wink in your life that like continues to fester year over year. And then you finally are like, okay, fine, I listen. And
that's literally what happened. Yes.
It's so cool.
Like,
I love that.
I will never forget that moment of just being like, I can't get this out of my head. I don't know why. And I prayed. I was like, okay, I'm open to you guiding me here. I don't know what it means, but I'm open to the idea of it. And literally in that moment, a friend of mine that is very involved with the disability community here in Nashville sent me a text about something totally obviously unrelated to this. But I was like, oh, she is my entry point. Like, I need to just have a conversation with her. Does she think this is a good idea? Does she think that the parents she sees on a regular basis would be interested? And so ever since that moment, it was like I couldn't turn a corner without another door just like flying open in my face.
Now, share your class offerings, because I see you have everything from creative movement to ballet. And for those not in Middle Tennessee, talk about your virtual class offerings.
Yes. Okay. So in terms of just the different styles of dance that we offer, we have 3 main classes that you can find on our schedule. So the first one is creative movement, which is definitely the most like imaginative type of movement style that we offer. You are encouraged to create your own movement. We use a lot of like real life concepts, like colors or emotions, things that you do or interact with on a daily basis, and then turning that into movement. So like, how can you move to show that you're feeling happy? And how can you move to show that you're feeling sad? And we use that to make dances together, which is really cool. So that's creative movement. We have ballet lyrical, where the students are learning traditional ballet techniques, but they also have more of a contemporary style of movement kind of fused in as well. And then we have Groovy Moves, which is our signature upbeat, high energy class. We kind of combine, depending on, the group, some jazz techniques, some hip hop stuff. So it's a little bit of just everything that's high energy and fun. With all of those classes, that creative movement is definitely weaved in throughout. So it is, we've had people come to us with their kids that have been to dance classes other places, and they're like, I love how you just kind of let them, like the first part of class is always very, very structured. And then at the end, we have what we call our dance party, and we let them just kind of like let loose. And it's really a really cool thing. So we make sure that that is involved in every class that we have. But virtually, we launched that, of course, in response to the pandemic. We started doing these online classes originally just to reach our current students and give them something to do at home and help them have some consistency in their routine, right? And to my surprise, yet again, I started getting calls from people in like other states that were finding us online. And they're like, hey, we don't live near you, but can we join your classes too? So we have kept that going, and we still have students that are in various states that tune in each week and they dance with us online.
I want to talk about ways that people can get involved, either by volunteering, being a part of your Young Professionals Committee, or by donating, and then discuss your upcoming fundraising events, which include a barbecue competition and recital at the zoo.
So we're always looking for volunteers. We could not, I say this all the time and I mean it wholeheartedly, we could not do what we do without our volunteers. And there's a lot of ways that you can give back with your time. Just to highlight a few of those really quickly, we have what we call dance buddies. So some of our students may need a little more hands-on focus, a little more one-on-one attention, but they want to be in that group setting as well. So we pair them with a dance buddy that works with them either every week or every other week. So they really get to know each other and create this bond, just to kind of help them stay on track in class. So that's the most consistent type of commitment that you could make volunteering. But we also have people that help out at our front desk, being greeters. We have people that just drop in occasionally to help out with events, and we need people for all of those things. So you can help us in whatever way it works for your schedule. Our Young Professionals Committee is a really, really cool thing that we have. And I basically say it's like the volunteer that kind of wants to just take things to the next level. It's mostly adults that are ranging from like 21 to late 30s, I would say, that are passionate about the work we're doing, but also looking to network with other people who have similar interests. So we do like social events throughout the year. We just did a little sip and paint with one of our other favorite nonprofits, Smart Arts and Crafts. It's a supply store that employs adults with disabilities, which is super awesome. Yeah, so that's an option. And then obviously donating. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, so we are always looking for donors as well. And speaking of donors, yes, we have some fundraiser stuff coming up in the fall. On October 1st, we are doing a barbecue competition. It's called A Mighty Voice. This is the second year doing that. We teamed up last year with Bisbee and Noah, Strict Skipped, and Communities in Schools to put on this really, really special event where we have teams that sign up and they come and they make whatever their signature barbecue dish is. And then people can buy tickets to come try all the barbecue. You get to vote on your favorite, and all of the proceeds benefits the 4 nonprofits that are involved. So that's October 1st at Oz Arts Nashville. And then October 22nd, we are having our 2nd annual recital at the zoo. And if it goes anything like last year's recital, it is going to be amazing. I mean, I have never been so overwhelmed with just positive feedback as we were on that day. Like as soon as the recital ended, it was just like a rush of people just pouring out, their love for us and what we were doing. And so it was a really, really special day.
I hope people mark those on their calendars and attend those events. Now share with us either some favorite impact stories of children who've come in and been impacted by Move, or what the feedback is from parents.
I would just say in general, and we say this time and time again, what's most important to us is that our students leave our classes just being better people. It's awesome if they learn how to do some really cool dance trick that they can then go do on stage. Like we obviously love that, but more than anything, dance is just like the vessel to make them better humans. So we are just always trying to make sure that every single lesson that we teach is focused around some type of life skill that will benefit them, whether that's them being better communicators at home, whether that is them learning how to problem solve so they can be more independent in the way that they live their lives. And that bleeds into all different facets of their life. And we have parents that are constantly telling us, the confidence that my kid has since we've started classes with you is just like unbelievable. Or some of my adult students that have been able to secure job interviews because of that confidence. So that to me is always just like the best feedback we could ever get. And then it doesn't hurt that they're having fun and they're doing something that I love to do too, which is dancing.
Now, what puts a smile on your face when you look at the work that you do at Move and the impact that it's made?
Gosh, I'm very fortunate that it is like probably the most fulfilling job on the planet, I would say. I do tell people a lot too, though, it is still a business, and I certainly can get wrapped up in that piece of it, in the business owner stuff, paying the bills and just like making sure that everything is running the way that it's supposed to at all times. But anytime I get kind of stuck in a rut like that, where I just am feeling like overwhelmed and I can tell I'm losing sight of why I even started, I will force myself to put the to-do list away, go sit in the lobby, because we have a TV that like live streams what's happening in the class into the lobby for the parents to watch, and just be with the parents, the caregivers, whoever's there watching the kids dancing, and listen to them give that feedback and watch the smiles on their faces, because that's what it's all about. And that every single time brings me back to why I started this in the first place.
Talk about your location, where people can go to learn more about Move Inclusive Dance, volunteer, and support your efforts.
Yes. So we are located in the West Nashville area. Our home studio, it's in a neighborhood called Bellevue, which we love. It's right off Highway 70. That's where most of our classes happen. Most of our events that we do all take place at this home studio. We do have a satellite program now in Franklin, Tennessee. We're partnered with We Rock the Spectrum out there, where we have 2 classes that happen on Thursday afternoons. So that is a great option for people that live out that way that can't, make the drive in. And then again, we have the virtual stuff going on as well, which you can tune in from wherever. But for any information on getting involved, through volunteering, donating, those special events, or just signing up for a class, you can go to our website, which is moveinclusivedance.com. And then we are on all of the social media channels at Move Inclusive Dance as well.
Lauren, thank you for listening to this festering idea over your life and making a difference through Move Inclusive Dance and coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.